Hey there! I'm so glad you're here because today we're talking about one of those moments in life that can really catch you off guard. You're doing your thing, healing, growing, building a life that feels like yours again. And then out of nowhere, bam, their name pops up on your screen. Your ex is reaching out. It's a moment that can feel like time just stops. You feel your heart skip a beat, your mind starts racing, and in an instant, it's like you're transported back to a place you thought you'd left behind. You've probably been there. The flood of emotions, the endless questions swirling in your head. Should I answer? What does this mean? Are they sorry? Do they miss me? It's like stepping onto an emotional roller coaster, and suddenly the progress you've made feels like it's hanging by a thread. But here's the truth you need to hear, and really feel deep in your soul. This is your life, and you are in control of how this moment unfolds. Your ex reaching out doesn't mean they get a say in your peace, your growth, or your future. It doesn't matter why they're reaching out or what they want. What matters is how you respond, and that's what today is all about, making sure you don't give away your power. Because when your ex contacts you, it's more than just a text or a call. It's a test of how far you've come, how much you've learned, and how firmly you're standing in your truth. This moment is a chance to show yourself how strong, resilient, and deserving of peace you truly are. Think about it. Every step you've taken to heal, every hard day you've pushed through, it's all been leading to this. But let's be real, this is not easy. Sometimes the temptation to respond can feel overwhelming. Maybe you're curious, maybe a part of you still wonders, what if? That's okay, it's normal to feel that pull. But here's the thing, you're not the same person you were when that relationship ended. You've grown, you've evolved, and now you have the opportunity to handle this situation with clarity and confidence instead of letting it pull you back into emotional chaos. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to avoid the 7 biggest mistakes people make when their ex reaches out. These mistakes are the traps that can unravel your progress and leave you feeling stuck, questioning yourself all over again. But by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to navigate this moment with grace and strength. You'll be equipped to protect your energy, stay true to yourself, and move forward without losing sight of all the progress you've made. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to remind you of something important. You are so much stronger than you think. Whether you've been working on yourself for months or you're just starting your healing journey, the fact that you're here means you're already taking steps to grow, and that's something to celebrate. So let's set an intention right here, right now. In the comments below, share an affirmation for yourself, something that reminds you of your worth and your power. Here's mine. I am strong, I am whole, and I am the creator of my own peace. Take a deep breath and let that sink in. You don't need your ex to validate your worth or to give you closure. You are whole on your own. The past doesn't define you, and it certainly doesn't control your future. This moment is about you, about standing firm in your progress, protecting your energy, and moving forward with confidence and clarity. So let's get into it. When your ex reaches out, it can feel like a whirlwind. But together, we're going to make sure you handle it with the strength and grace you've been building. By the end of this, you'll have the tools to make sure their message doesn't shake your progress, and that you never make the 7 mistakes that can pull you back into emotional chaos. You're ready. Let's dive in. Number 1, letting emotions take the driver's seat. Your phone lights up, and there it is, their name staring back at you. Your heart pounds, your mind races, and a wave of emotions surges through you. Excitement, fear, confusion, all at once. Without thinking, you grab your phone, type a quick reply, and hit send. Almost immediately, regret sets in. Does this sound familiar? It's the classic trap of letting your emotions take the wheel, where raw feelings override your better judgment. But here's the truth. When emotions are in control, you're not just reacting to them, you're giving away your power. Let's take a step back. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You may not control when your ex decides to reach out, but you absolutely control how you choose to respond. And within that response lies your strength, your peace, and your dignity. When emotions take over, your reply is no longer a reflection of your growth. It becomes a reflex, whether it's excitement, anger, or longing. Impulsive responses often come across as reactive, ungrounded, or even needy. They send a message, yes, but it's rarely the one you intended. What's worse, they leave you second-guessing yourself and wondering if you've given up more control than you realized. It's not just about the words you use, it's about what those words represent. Are they coming from a place of confidence and calm, or are they driven by insecurity and haste? Here's the secret. You don't have to respond right away. In fact, the best thing you can do in that moment is pause. When you see their name pop up, take a deep breath, put the phone down, and resist the urge to reply immediately, no matter how strong the pull might feel. Instead, give yourself time, at least 24 hours, to reflect. Use this time not just to think about your response, but to process your emotions. Ask yourself, why does this message affect me so strongly? What do I really want from this situation? Am I seeking closure, validation, or something deeper? Taking this pause isn't about playing games or trying to control the narrative. It's about reclaiming control over yourself. By delaying your response, you're choosing to prioritize your energy, your peace, and your growth. It's a statement, not just to your ex, but to yourself. I am no longer led by fleeting emotions. I am in control of how I show up in this world. Now, imagine how empowering it feels to respond with clarity and intention. A calm, thoughtful reply doesn't just communicate your thoughts, it communicates your strength. It says, I am not here to react to your whims. I decide when and how I engage. That's the kind of energy that sets boundaries, protects your peace, and elevates your confidence. So the next time your phone buzzes and you feel that emotional rush, remember, you don't have to respond immediately. Take a step back, breathe, give yourself time to reflect, and ground yourself. And when you do reply, let it come from a place of confidence and self-respect. Finally, let's reinforce this mindset. Drop an affirmation in the comments below. I am calm, deliberate, and in control. Because that's exactly who you are when you refuse to let emotions take the driver's seat. You've got this. Number 2. Waiting for them to give you closure. Waiting for your ex to give you closure can feel like a natural desire, but it's often an illusion that only prolongs your suffering and keeps you tethered to the past. When a relationship ends, there's often a deep yearning to understand why it fell apart, why they acted the way they did, or why they left in the first place. This need for closure can become all-consuming, as if the answer from them will magically heal the emotional wounds and give you the peace you crave. However, this mindset places your emotional well-being and peace of mind in the hands of someone else, someone who may never provide the answers you're seeking, or worse yet, may not even care to. Relying on your ex for closure is essentially waiting for someone who's no longer part of your life to fix something that was broken during the relationship. It's a trap that can keep you stuck, emotionally tied to the past, hoping for a resolution that might never come. The truth is, closure doesn't come from external sources. It comes from within. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius taught that we are the masters of our own emotions and responses. Instead of seeking answers from someone who may never provide them, the Stoic approach encourages you to find closure within yourself. You don't need your ex's explanation or apology to move forward. Your peace of mind isn't dependent on them or their actions. It's something you can create for yourself by reframing the narrative of your relationship and focusing on what you've learned. For example, you might reflect on the relationship and acknowledge what worked, what didn't, and how it has contributed to your growth. Rather than obsessing over what went wrong or why they did what they did, shift your focus to the lessons you've learned and how they've shaped you. What has the relationship taught you about yourself? What values or standards do you now have that you didn't before? This self-reflection is a form of closure that no one else can give you. It empowers you to take control of your healing process and move forward without needing anyone's permission or explanation. Seeking closure from your ex can also be a form of emotional dependency, where you place your emotional well-being on their behavior or response. If they never give you closure, you could be left feeling stuck, helpless, and incomplete. The reality is that you are already whole, and you don't need anyone else to complete you or validate your feelings. Stoicism teaches that we should not let external events, including the actions of others, define our sense of peace or happiness. Instead of waiting for your ex to give you closure, take the initiative to create it yourself. By recognizing your own strength and wisdom, you can decide to close that chapter on your own terms. A key Stoic principle is to accept the things we cannot change and focus on what we can control. In the case of closure, you cannot change the past or control how your ex behaves, but you can control how you choose to respond. This shift in perspective takes the power back into your hands and frees you from the emotional hold your ex may still have over you. Instead of waiting for an answer or apology that may never come, you can choose to release the need for closure and begin healing on your own. You deserve peace, and you have the ability to give it to yourself. The journey to healing is about acknowledging your emotions, accepting the end of the relationship, and deciding to move forward, even without the answers you thought you needed. As you embrace this Stoic approach, you'll find that closure doesn't come from external sources. It's something you create within yourself through self-awareness, acceptance, and personal growth. Ultimately, waiting for closure from your ex will only keep you stuck in the past, while the real opportunity for growth lies in your ability to let go, move on, and trust that you have the power to create your own peace. Number 3, falling back into familiar patterns. Falling back into familiar patterns after a breakup is an all-too-common pitfall, one that often happens unconsciously, driven by the comfort of what's familiar. When a relationship ends, there's a natural tendency to seek the stability, safety, or emotional comfort that we once had, and often we turn back to the patterns that were established during the relationship. Whether it's reaching out to your ex, engaging in the same behaviors that contributed to the breakup, or settling for situations that don't align with your growth, falling back into these old habits can feel like a way to quickly return to a sense of normalcy. However, doing so often comes with a deep cost. Stoic philosophy teaches that we must embrace change and continuously evolve, rejecting the comfort of the familiar if it no longer serves our growth or well-being. The Stoics believed that we should focus on the present moment, acting with intention and wisdom rather than succumbing to impulsive reactions based on past experiences. In the case of falling back into old patterns, this means questioning why we are returning to behaviors or situations that we know are detrimental to our progress. When you find yourself gravitating back to a place or person that contributed to your heartbreak, it's vital to pause and reflect. Are you seeking comfort because it's what you've always known, or are you truly pursuing something that aligns with your current values and aspirations? If you're honest with yourself, you'll likely realize that what feels like comfort is merely familiarity, not real fulfillment or growth. The danger lies in letting these familiar patterns dictate your future, trapping you in a cycle of emotional dependence or stagnation. By giving in to these patterns, you're essentially denying the opportunity for self-improvement and evolution. Every time you return to what once was, you're re-entering a narrative that no longer serves you, one that's rooted in old wounds and unresolved issues. Stoic wisdom teaches us that we should not allow external events or past situations to define us. Instead, we must focus on cultivating a mindset of resilience, where we actively shape our responses to challenges in a way that aligns with our highest values. Falling back into old patterns is an unconscious response to discomfort, but with awareness, you can break free from these cycles. The key is to stop seeking temporary fixes and start focusing on long-term fulfillment. Growth happens when we're willing to challenge the familiar, even when it feels safer or easier. It's about breaking free from the patterns that once served us, but now limit our potential. Instead of seeking validation or closure from a past relationship or resorting to old habits, the Stoic approach encourages us to look ahead. What type of person do you want to become? What kind of relationships, experiences, and opportunities do you want to invite into your life? To move forward, you must leave the familiar behind, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. As the Stoic Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your ability to respond consciously, rather than falling back into what's familiar, will ultimately determine your growth and your future happiness. Instead of returning to patterns that drain you, focus on creating new, empowering ones. Surround yourself with people who support your growth. Engage in activities that challenge you and make choices that align with your true self. The more you practice self-awareness and embrace change, the easier it becomes to break free from the past. Falling back into familiar patterns is a trap that keeps you stuck in a cycle of emotional stagnation. However, by rejecting the pull of the past and focusing on growth, you can create a future that's rooted in strength, resilience, and true fulfillment. It's about letting go of what no longer serves you and having the courage to embrace the unknown, knowing that your best self is waiting to emerge on the other side. Number 4, letting your self-worth depend on them. Letting your self-worth depend on someone else is a deeply ingrained pattern that can significantly impact your emotional well-being, especially after a breakup. When you tie your sense of value to the approval, love, or presence of another person, you're setting yourself up for instability and emotional turbulence. This external validation becomes a crutch, one that you rely on to feel worthy, lovable, or enough. In the context of a breakup, this often manifests as a desperate desire for reconciliation or a need for closure from your ex. You might find yourself constantly wondering if you were the reason things fell apart, or if you're not good enough to maintain the relationship. This type of thinking is toxic because it shifts the focus away from your inherent worth and places it in the hands of someone else's actions or feelings. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of internal self-sufficiency, teaching that our worth is not determined by external circumstances or the approval of others. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminded us that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. In other words, your self-worth is something that must come from within, not from the fleeting opinions or affections of others. When you let your value depend on someone else, you're essentially giving away your power. You become a slave to their approval or rejection, and your emotional state becomes fragile and unpredictable. This is a dangerous cycle to be trapped in, as it leaves you vulnerable to disappointment, hurt, and constant self-doubt. Instead of standing firm in your own value, You start chasing external validation, never fully satisfied, because it's always dependent on something outside yourself. True self-worth comes from recognizing your own unique qualities, embracing your strengths and flaws, and cultivating a sense of inner peace that isn't reliant on others' opinions. This mindset shift is crucial in breaking free from the damaging belief that your worth is contingent upon the people around you. Think about it. If your sense of value is constantly tied to someone else, you're not allowing yourself the space to fully heal or grow. You're stuck in a cycle of dependence, where your emotional state swings with the whims of another person. This can lead to feelings of insecurity, unfulfillment, and even resentment. On the other hand, when you take responsibility for your own worth, you're empowered to move forward with confidence, regardless of how others treat you. This doesn't mean you stop caring about others or their opinions. It simply means you stop letting them dictate your value. You recognize that your worth is intrinsic, independent of any relationship or external circumstance. When you stop seeking validation from your ex or anyone else, you free yourself from the chains of insecurity and self-doubt. You can then focus on building your own self-love, self-respect, and self-confidence. It's important to realize that just because a relationship ended doesn't mean you're any less worthy of love, respect, or happiness. You are not defined by your relationship status, the actions of others, or how someone else treated you. Your value comes from who you are, how you show up for yourself, and the way you cultivate your own growth. The Stoics believed in practicing self-control, focusing on what is within our control, and accepting what is not. What you can control is how you view yourself and how you choose to respond to external circumstances. Your worth is not up for negotiation, and it certainly isn't dependent on the validation of anyone else. If you constantly seek your worth from someone else, you're likely to feel incomplete, because no amount of external approval can fill the void that comes from not recognizing your own inherent value. The path to healing and moving forward lies in recognizing that your worth is unwavering, regardless of the end of a relationship or anyone's actions toward you. By embracing your value from within, you empower yourself to build a life based on authenticity and self-love, not on the approval of others. It's only when you stop letting your self-worth depend on someone else that you can truly begin to heal and move forward, ready to attract the kind of love and respect you deserve. Number 5. Pushing your emotions aside. Pushing your emotions aside after a breakup might seem like a way to gain control and move on quickly, but in reality, it's a harmful coping mechanism that can prevent you from healing properly. Emotions are not something to be suppressed or ignored. They are powerful signals that provide valuable insight into your inner world and your needs. When you push them aside, you are essentially denying yourself the opportunity to process your feelings, learn from them, and grow. This behavior may stem from a desire to avoid pain or vulnerability, but in doing so, you risk burying unresolved emotions that will resurface later in ways that could be more damaging. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, taught that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. However, they also acknowledged that it is essential to acknowledge and examine our emotions instead of repressing them. By pushing your emotions aside, you're not responding wisely or with awareness. You're simply suppressing your natural human reactions, which only leads to more inner turmoil. When you ignore your emotions, they don't just vanish, they accumulate, building up in the background, waiting to be acknowledged. Over time, this can lead to emotional numbness, where you no longer feel or respond to situations as you once did. This emotional shutdown can make it even harder to move on or connect with others. It's like trying to drive a car with the brakes on. No matter how fast you go, you're not truly moving forward. True healing requires you to lean into your emotions even when it feels uncomfortable. Feeling sadness, anger, regret, and confusion after a breakup is natural and human. These emotions are not enemies to be avoided, but rather friends that guide you through the process of healing. By facing them head-on, you can gain clarity and understanding about what went wrong, what you need to learn, and what you want in the future. Suppressing these feelings may provide temporary relief, but it's only a matter of time before they resurface, often in more destructive ways. You may find yourself lashing out, withdrawing from others, or becoming stuck in negative thought patterns, all signs that you have not dealt with your emotions in a healthy way. On the other hand, embracing your emotions allows you to release them naturally. By sitting with your feelings and acknowledging their presence, you grant yourself the freedom to let them go. This process is crucial for personal growth and self-awareness, as it fosters emotional intelligence and resilience. Emotions like pain, grief, and anger may seem overwhelming in the moment, but by allowing yourself to feel them fully, you build a deeper understanding of who you are and what you need. Pushing emotions aside also prevents you from gaining the closure that you might be seeking after a breakup. Instead of allowing yourself the time to process and reflect, you deny the emotional experience that is necessary for true closure. Closure is not something external. It comes from within, and it requires you to accept and release your emotions, not to suppress them. It's important to remember that you don't need to rush your healing process. You don't have to get over a breakup in a set time frame. Your emotions will not be on a schedule, and that's perfectly okay. Give yourself permission to grieve, to feel angry, or to even feel a sense of loss. These emotions are temporary, but they are necessary for moving forward with strength. Releasing emotions is not a sign of weakness. It's an act of self-care and self-respect. By acknowledging your emotions, you reclaim your power and allow yourself to heal on your own terms. The journey of healing and moving forward is about taking small steps, not about suppressing your feelings in order to appear fine. Recognize that your emotions are a vital part of the process, and that by embracing them, you will ultimately emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Number 6. Clinging to the past for resolution. Clinging to the past for resolution after a breakup is a common but ultimately damaging mistake. It's tempting to believe that by revisiting the relationship or holding on to the memories of what once was, you can somehow fix what went wrong. The nostalgia of the good times can create a powerful longing, making you yearn for the past as if it holds the key to the future. However, this approach prevents you from fully moving forward, keeping you stuck in a cycle of longing and disappointment. The past, with all its beauty and pain, cannot offer you the resolution you seek. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If you allow your thoughts to remain fixed on the past, you are choosing to remain anchored to a version of yourself and your life that no longer exists. The reality is, relationships end for a reason, whether it's due to incompatibilities, broken trust, or other fundamental issues that couldn't be resolved at the time. Clinging to the past means ignoring the lessons that these experiences were meant to teach you. It's as if you're walking backward, trying to follow a path that no longer leads anywhere. The pain of the breakup can create a sense of longing for resolution, but the truth is, no amount of looking back will change the facts. What happened, happened, and dwelling on it keeps you locked in a cycle of regret and what-ifs. The Stoics teach us that we have no control over external events, only our reactions to them. Instead of focusing on how things used to be or wishing they could have been different, it's far more productive to focus on what you can control, your present thoughts and actions. When you cling to the past, you deny yourself the opportunity to heal and grow. You might think that reconciliation or a return to the way things were will bring closure, but this is often an illusion. Reconciliation without meaningful change is simply a repeat of old patterns. Until both people have evolved and addressed the issues that led to the breakup, there is little chance of lasting peace. The past is full of lessons, but those lessons cannot be learned by endlessly revisiting old wounds. They can only be applied when you choose to look ahead and build a better future. By clinging to the past, you may also be holding on to a version of yourself that no longer fits who you are becoming. Growth requires change, and change demands that you leave behind old ways of thinking and being. Every time you try to go back to what was, you risk stifling the person you are becoming, preventing yourself from reaching new heights of self-awareness and happiness. The resolution you seek is not found in the past, but in the future you can create by learning from your experiences and choosing to let go of what no longer serves you. Instead of waiting for closure from an external source, you must find it within yourself. This can be a painful process, but it is also empowering. It means accepting that the relationship is over and embracing the opportunity to shape your life moving forward. Instead of asking, "What if?" ask yourself, "What's next?" The future holds untold possibilities, but to access them, you must be willing to release the past and trust that you are worthy of a better future. The Stoic mindset encourages us to focus on the present moment and what is within our control, rather than getting lost in what cannot be changed. When you cling to the past for resolution, you are allowing it to define your present and dictate your future. Letting go of the past is an act of self-liberation. It is the key to moving forward and finding peace. By shifting your focus from what has been to what could be, you open yourself up to new opportunities, new growth, and a future that is brighter than any past you are trying to hold on to. In time, you will realize that the resolution you sought from the past was always within you, waiting to be unlocked by your willingness to move on. Number 7, letting the past dictate your path forward. Here's the deal. When your ex reaches out, it's easy to get trapped in the flood of memories. Suddenly, everything from the past relationship feels fresh. Good times, bad times, regrets and what-ifs, all coming at you like a tidal wave. But here's the truth you need to hear. Your past doesn't have the power to control your future unless you let it. It's a chapter, not the entire book. The more you focus on what was, the more you rob yourself of what could be. You've heard the saying, "Your thoughts create your reality," right? Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." So ask yourself, are your thoughts anchored in the past, holding you back? Or are you using them as stepping stones to move forward? You get to decide. Dwelling on the past only keeps you stuck in a loop of nostalgia and pain, while the future is waiting for you to take control of it. The relationship was a part of your life's journey, but it doesn't get to dictate your next steps. The real question is, what's waiting for you on the other side of this moment? You don't have to stay in yesterday's story. You can create a new narrative, one that's all about growth, possibility, and self-empowerment. What would happen if you channeled all that energy you're putting into your ex into something that's yours to build? Imagine how much stronger, bolder, and more confident you could become. Every moment you spend caught in the past is a moment you could be spending crafting a future full of exciting new opportunities. You get to decide what your next chapter looks like. Your story is far from over. So ask yourself, what's one small step you can take today to start building your future? Maybe it's starting a new project, making a fresh connection, or simply taking time for yourself. Whatever it is, take that step, because the power to shape your life is in your hands, not anyone else's. Remember this: you are not defined by your past, but by the way you rise above it. Drop an affirmation in the comments. I am the creator of my future, and it's going to be incredible. Reclaim your power, write your story. The best is yet to come. Conclusion. At the end of the day, your journey is yours alone, and the power to shape your future is in your hands. The mistakes we've discussed today aren't just traps to avoid. They're opportunities to reclaim your strength, your confidence, and your self-worth. By resisting the urge to respond impulsively, seeking closure from within, and not letting the past dictate your future, you're choosing growth over stagnation, peace over turmoil,